In our first episode of the season, I ask our panel what their predictions are for the Canadiens this year, and also, will Jonathan Drouin survive the pressures of being a hockey star in a city that eats hockey stars for breakfast, lunch, and supper? This is Hockey Inside Out. After a long and arduous summer, I'd like to welcome you back to the show, as well as our trusty panel, Stu Cowan, CBC Daybreak's Jessica Rusnak, and Mr. Chris Nilan. Did you guys miss me?
Oh, terribly.
Long summer.
That's funny, Chris, because you didn't return any of my calls, emails, or text messages. Okay.
That's a lie.
No, Chris, I know. Before we start, we just want to let you guys know that there's a new feature on hockeyinsideout.com with Marc Bergevin of The Athletic. He was on the show last year. He's going to be writing a weekly analytics-focused column on the Canadiens, so be sure to check that out on our website. It's going to be premiering on October the 11th. Okay, here's what we're going to be talking about on today's show. Number 1, what is the biggest question mark the Canadiens have heading into the season? Number 2, which player will surprise fans the most? Number 3, will Jonathan Drouin be able to handle the pressure of playing as a Hab? Number 4, what will Marc Bergevin do with the $8.5 million he has left under the salary cap? And number 5, what are your predictions for the Canadiens heading into the 2017-2018 season? Let's start the show. After a disappointing playoff run, if you could even call it that, the Montreal Canadiens are a team looking a little worse for wear on paper. With notable favorites Andrei Markov and Alexander Radulov gone, as well as half of their starting blue line from last season, fans aren't too sure what they can expect from this year's squad. What do you think the Canadiens' biggest question marks are heading into this year's season?
Mine is what you just mentioned, the defensive core right there. Is I don't think they've done anything to really make it a stronger defense from last year. And right now I think they have most 6 defensemen at that point. They don't really have top ones. It's exciting to see that Victor Mete has an opportunity now to show what he can do at the NHL level when he's playing real games. But at the same time, when you've got guys like Brandon Davidson, we haven't seen Schlemko at all because he's been hurt. But what I think is interesting is that you also have Mark Streit, who's 20 years older than Victor Mete as well. So you have these two guys on polar opposite sides of the blue line.
Getting the puck out of their zone could be a problem on some nights, I think, Chris. I mean, Victor Mete, it's great the kid stepped up, 4th round pick. You know, he looks like he's going to start the season playing beside Shea Weber. That's the good news. The bad news is that the only guy they have to play beside Shea Weber is a 19-year-old kid who was a 4th round draft pick. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does going forward. But I think defense is the biggest question mark, and offense is always a question mark with this team, it seems.
Yeah, offense is always a question mark. Hopefully, with the acquisition of Drouin and his prowess on the power play, things will get better there. As far as the defense, I'll be honest, I'm not as concerned. They have depth, but it's not quality depth when you talk about Morrow and Davidson and Streit. But when Schlemko comes back, I think there's 6 defensemen coupled with Carey Price and net. I think they're going to be tough to play against down low in their own zone. I think a lot of people are underestimating the defensive side of it. We always look at, who's a great skater with the puck and coming up the ice. I think these guys are adequate as far as puck movers, but no one's going to wow you with their blinding speed except for Mete. And there is some concern there with me, but I think they're a lot better than people think they are defensively.
Well, Carey Price always helps too. He's like a 3rd defenseman out there, the way he can move the puck, so that settles things a little bit there. It's interesting you mentioned too, though, with the power play with Drouin. They're using 4 forwards on the power play, which is the first time we've seen that with Drouin and the point with Weber. And the power play has really, really looked good the last couple of preseason games with the new setup they had. So that's another thing that'll be interesting to watch.
Victor Mete is a 19-year-old rookie. He's surprised everyone in the preseason. Whether you're talking about new Habs or old Habs, who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise for fans this year?
I'm going to make a crazy prediction say that
Get
Alex
crazy.
Galchenyuk, he's going to find, what he was missing last season. A lot of people have doubts about him if he's able to elevate his game and become that player that the Canadiens were hoping for when they drafted him. And I think this is going to be his breakout year, the one that he shows everyone, when people were doubting me, this is the kind of hockey player I can be. And I think he'll go from being in the doghouse with Habs fans to, they'll want to start building statues of Alex Galchenyuk in the city.
I wonder if Alex Galchenyuk is still going to be with the Canadiens by Christmas. I mean, I wonder.
One wave and goodbye?
Early in training camp, he was playing like either a guy who wanted to be traded or knew he's going to be traded. And I think I'd be surprised if Alex Galchenyuk lasts the season here. I think one player who might be a surprise is Jacob de la Rose. I think it's already a surprise to some that he made the team. He played well last year at the end of the season in the AHL. He had scored 2 goals the last preseason game. And I think he's a guy who, I think he's already surprised people by making the team, and I think he could be a surprise moving forward also.
I like that he's showing some personality as well. Someone asked him, last year in the AHL, you really started to become, scoring more goals in February. What was the difference? And he said, well, I started eating oatmeal in the morning. So it's nice because he's been a very reserved guy to show that kind of personality.
Yeah, I like de la Rose being here. I think this is kind of a project for Claude Julien. I think, and don't take this the wrong way, but the offensive side, he's challenged, okay? But I look at him as like a poor man's Petrus Bergeron. Guy who's going to be good on faceoffs, big and strong out there. He's good in his end. He's responsible. I think Julien sees that in this player, and he likes that. As far as up front in the power play, and up front 5-on-5, Drouin and Pacioretty, that line with Gallagher. I don't know how long that'll last, but I think
Gallagher could be a surprise also. I mean, this is a guy, he had the last 2 years, his hand shattered twice. He really had a tough time. And I think Claude Julien has given him an opportunity to do something.
There was some people talking about Galchenyuk getting an opportunity up there. But like you said, and I watched him in training camp too, and he looked very, listen, veterans, I get it, okay? But this kid is he a center? Is he a wing? He got hurt at the end of last year. He was on the 4th line in the playoffs. Here's a kid who should be coming in here and trying to impress this coach, Claude Julien. And that's the last thing he did in the first 6, 7 exhibition games. And that was kind of tough to watch, the way his attitude was. And, I look at this kid, he got a lot of outside pressures, the father's at every practice, every game, always in his ear. It's the entourage. It's just, it's like the kid kind of got to be off on his own. It's time for him to kind of grow up and get off on his own, I think.
Well, Jess, I hope you're right, because I picked up Galchenyuk very late in my fantasy hockey pool, so I hope that he plays so well that they build statues of him.
I'm not ready to give up hope on him yet.
In the city. Montreal's a special place, as we all know. It's especially special for hockey players. You're pretty much bigger than a Hollywood movie star if you're on the Habs. Jonathan Drouin is the new superstar. How do you think he's going to react to the pressure of playing as a Montreal Canadien?
Well, he's especially special.
and he looks like a movie star.
No, honestly, I think this kid, it's just cut out for him to be here. He always wanted to be a Hab. He was a fan of the Habs growing up. He comes from Tampa. We know he had some issues down there with them. That's done. He's here. He seems like he's embraced it. He's got such great talent, great hands. He's a guy who has great vision on the ice. He can pass through the seams. And what's good about him, when he has the puck, he can hold on to it and suck guys to him in the absolute last second, move that puck and make something happen and create for whoever he's playing with.
I know his midget coach, John Goyens, and the Lac St. Louis Lions, he's coached a lot of good hockey players. He told me he never coached a player who hated to lose more than Jonathan Drouin. He said he was just a hockey rink rat, and I know just practices in Brossard, he's always like the last guy off the ice. Everybody leaves, he's still on the ice shooting pucks, shooting pucks, shooting pucks. He loves everything about being a hockey player, and I think he loves everything about being in Montreal. Even dealing with us, even dealing with us, the media. I mean, he'll sit in the room afterwards and he'll answer all the questions. He'll get, you guys got everything? Got everything you need? Okay, great. And then he leaves. Like he seems to everything on the ice, off the ice. He seems ready to handle. He's a mature 22-year-old. He's got a little bit of cockiness to him, which is good. And I think he's going to do well. I don't think it's going to become a problem for him with the spotlight here.
Well, I think it's really refreshing that you have a player from Montreal saying that I'm happy to be here. He's embracing the spotlight. He made that donation to the Hospital as well, so some extra attention to him for doing community work like that. However, I think he has not been tested in that way when the pressure really gets on him. He did have pressure, obviously, in Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay is a completely different beast than when you're playing here in Montreal. He's perfectly bilingual, so he's going to have to always do 2 scrums when the going gets tough, and then we're just going to have to see what he's made out of. But I want to say that I think he will be good when pressure does get on him, but we haven't seen him be put in a pressure situation.
But it's that confident cockiness you need, I think, to survive in Montreal. Patrick Waugh had it, Fleur had it, PK Subban had it. Guys, he doesn't hide. He's there, and he's been there after every practice, every scrum.
And you diffuse any sort of issue that might be there because you're not saying, I'm going to wait 3 days to talk to the media and let this whole crazy circus build up, and then you have even more questions. Come out, deal with it when it's there, put an end to it, and move on.
The other thing I think will help, Chris, is the fact him and Max Pacioretty are so close. Yeah. I think his relationship with the captain will help also.
Yeah, we'll see as it goes forward. But I really like the kid, and it should be interesting to see how it all works out for him.
Okay. Marc Bergevin has $8.5 million left to spend before he reaches the salary cap. What do you think he's going to do with that money, if anything?
Give some to Chris Nilan, bring him back.
Hire me as an ambassador.
I think he's going to wait for the season to play out and see how teams might be in a different position because of injuries and how willing they might be to part ways with certain players. So I think it's good that he's just using this money now to see what might be available rather than trying to get, I don't know, a guy like Chris Nilan that they were saying that he apparently had conversations with Marc Bergevin, but maybe that was more of his agent trying to drum up some interest. But I think he's going to see how the season develops and who might be available that wasn't a few months ago.
No, the start of the season will determine how quickly he spends that money, I think, also. But he's got holes. I mean, there's holes.
Yeah.
Drouin is the #1 center. We'll see. Chris, you were saying earlier that he looks better defensively than maybe some people might have thought, at least during the preseason. But there's holes on defense. But it's $8.5 million, and I think he's obviously not in a rush to do it. And I think he's doing the smart thing to wait and see how things play out. Like you say, a team gets injured, a team has salary cap issues. But I can't see him going to Christmas without spending this money.
No, yeah. Listen, everybody wants him to spend it, and I'm sure he does too, but he's not just going to go out and, I got to get this off the books because I'm going to look like a fool holding on to this. No, he's going to try and make the team better if he can. He's going to make the best possible move he can to make this team a lot stronger. I worry about the schedule. This team has come out of the gate the last couple of years crazy. We're like, whoa, we're going to watch this all year? It looked great. 6 of the first 8 games on the road against tough teams. They start in Buffalo where they've always had issues. You got Washington, Rangers, LA, Chicago. They have a tough schedule.
3 games in 4 nights to
If
start.
they get in a hole, it's really going to test the character of this team. If you don't come out of the gate and you go in that hole, say you're 2-6, ooh.
If they start 0-3, maybe he spends that money next week.
We're going to see. Then we're going to see just how much character this team really has.
Yeah, it's as I say, it's a good thing to have, though. I mean, having that. I mean, I think it's a little bit unexpected. I think he was either going to sign. He thought he was going to sign Radulov or Markov. He didn't get either. That left some extra money around. But Matt Duchene's out there. He doesn't want to play in Colorado. You wonder if a trade with him might be involved. As we mentioned, Galchenyuk earlier. Does Galchenyuk go to Colorado? Be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, to be honest, it breaks my heart that they were unable to sign Radulov. He was my favorite player in like 20 years on the Habs. The team looks so different. I was super optimistic last season, and much less so this season. I don't know what to think. What are your guys' predictions for this season for the Habs?
Well, with Radulov, I think Bergevin played a game of chicken with him, and he lost. I mean, he said he had made final offers to Markov and Radulov, and first come, first serve, and neither of them came.
Yeah.
He lost both of them, so I think he screwed up a little bit with that. Prediction, as of now, if he doesn't do anything, I think this team struggles to make the playoffs. I think they do get in as the 8 or 7 just because they have Carey Price, if Carey Price can stay healthy. But it's a hard question to answer right now because of that $8.5 million sitting there. Like, what this team looks like now is probably different than what it's going to look like in November or December.
Same with you. I don't know how well this team would do at the moment. I can't really see them. If they do get into the playoffs, I could see them losing in the first round. I don't think they have a team at the moment that can go far. But as the season progresses and we see how other teams, handle their schedules as well and see how they stack up against them, things might change in a month from now.
Yeah, you know, I'm like you two. I really don't know either.
No,
Who knows? No one freaking knows.
Miss Cleo knows.
No one knows. I don't know. None of them TSN guys know, and none of them know. No one knows. The fact of the matter is, this hockey team is going to be challenged this year. I think they will make the playoffs. Now, a whole lot's going to happen between now and then. I get it, but you know, it's a situation that I think Bergevin, the situation he is in now, is probably his most difficult since he's been here. He's up against it a bit, and we're going to see how he, if he's proactive here and gets going and makes something happen. So this team will be one of those teams you can sit here and say, yeah, they're making the playoffs, no problem. You know, there are some question marks. I think with this coach, this goaltender, the core they have, and if he can make a move or two here or there, I think they're going to make the
There's a little pressure on Bergevin. Mike Farber on the TSN radio had a great line the other day. He said Bergevin is going into the 6th year of his 5-year plan. That's basically what it is. I mean, it's 6 years in, and he's got to do something this year to
Well, if the power play can get going too. Remember in the past, we used to see the Habs ride their power play right into the playoffs, so that could be a difference too if they get the special teams
I think the power play will be good. I think that's where Drouin's going to have the
usually
biggest.
Good under Julian.
I think, and Drouin, I think, is going to have. I think he's going to have a big impact everywhere. I think the biggest impact he's going to have is on the power play. You mentioned Radulov before. You know, you lose Radulov, you bring in Drouin. Imagine if they had Radulov and Drouin.
Yeah. Yes, that would have been exciting. Okay, well, that is our show for this week. I want to thank all of you at home for tuning in again. Remember, we're here every Thursday on the internet, so subscribe, like, share, and tell your friends. I'm Adam Susser. See you next Thursday.